Absolutely.
Okay, cool. Well, welcome everybody to Wednesday Wind Down with Dan and Friends. I'm Dan Conger, he, him, and this is a webinar and YouTube show for people that like to be outdoors, people like to hang out with friends, and maybe people that like to hang out and drink beer or whatever they want to drink with friends. So we're doing all of that. Right. Cheers. Here's to you.
Cheers. Cheers.
So I'm Dan Conger, the host, and Kelly, would you introduce yourself?
Sure. Kelly Mamer, one of Dan's backpack partners, and he, him are my pronouns.
Beautiful. Thank you. So tonight we're going to be talking about a local trail that we hiked. So Kelly and I went out a couple of weeks ago and hiked the Bernardo Mountain Trail, and that's in northern San Diego County, for those of you that are out of the area, in Escondido, right near Lake Hodges. And there's a couple of different ways to get there. So what's interesting is, Kelly, is this route that we took is, you hadn't been on this one before, had you? This route that I came in.
I hadn't been on the way that you went, for sure.
Yeah. So there's probably, yes. Yes. We did get lost the conversation. Okay, whatever. Tells you we're comfortable with this format.
Yeah, I've done this mountain a couple times in the past, but not the direction you went, for sure, which was nicer, much better than the way I've started, which we'll talk about.
Right, and there's a couple of other routes too. So let's. I'm going to bring up my slideshow. Give me just a moment to prep this, and we'll get this rolling for you. And share my screen. All right. So here's the map of where we went. So the Bernardo Mountain Trail, we started right at Via Rancho Parkway and Del Lago Boulevard. So for reference, that is the Westfield Mall, formerly known as North County Fair, on that caddy corner to that one. So in that shopping center, there's a transit center, bus lot, and a McDonald's and a Starbucks. So that's generally where we parked. And we came in on that corner, and we'll show you why we came in through that corner. But there's two other routes. Now, Kelly, which routes have you come into Bernardo Mountain before?
The way I came, I think is sort of the way I see it described most often when you see it described, which is on the right side, that purple path where it says the Sunset Drive Trailhead. There's a parking lot there, and you basically walk right along the freeway in a not very interesting walk. And then you cut under the freeway, which is exactly what you'd expect it looks like when you cut under a freeway, and come up the other side. And then just instead of where the purple continues, I turn and join the trail that runs along the water. But that's why it's not as exciting as a trail. And the way we went was more interesting. At least had a little bit more color.
Right. So you take as soon as you come underneath the freeway, you take the lower route, which is closer to the lake. And then that blue series of dots comes in over the bridge, the new pedestrian bridge, or newer pedestrian bridge that crosses Lake Hodges, and it puts into the Piedras Pintadas trailhead. That would add a little bit more distance. And then what I'm not showing you is a trail that would come in from the west side, from Lake Hodges boat launch and that area. I don't know what the name of that trailhead is. That would definitely add a lot more distance if you wanted to. So the route that we took was almost 7.5 miles for the out and back, and just under 1,000 foot of elevation. Now, what was your comment on elevation, Kelly? Earlier about where you start paying the elevation in?
Yeah, the first 6.5, or sorry, well, the half, whatever, 3/4 of the way there, you've made about 50 feet of elevation gain, and then it's like, okay, now you're here, let's go up.
Exactly. So once we cross the creek, that's when you really start doing your climbing, or you're going to do most of that 900 feet of climbing. The reasons I like this one is it's close to town. It's just a couple miles from my house. It's pretty easy to get to. However, it can be moderately busy. So picking the time in which you go makes all the difference. So I wouldn't say we had a backcountry or wilderness experience by any stretch. When we were coming back, we started running into a few more people.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. I mean, it's exactly that's why I like it too. It's close. That's really it. It's close, and it's a little harder than some of them, just because it like I said, most of that elevation gains right at the end. So if you just want a bit of It's a good one to go to.
Exactly. And I want to say we started moderately early. I want to say we started about 7:30, maybe 8 o'clock, something like that. Okay, so let's jump in and see what we've got. So here we're starting off right on Via Rancho Parkway, and I just realized what I didn't. So this is the main reason why I like this, right? Is we start immediately once you leave the road, you start in a grove of eucalyptus trees, right? So you immediately get a feel of not asphalt, not a parking lot. We'll be back to that soon enough, but I kind of like this part for as a start.
Yeah, definitely. Like I said, the other way, walking along the freeway, and it's just not. I mean, here you see the freeway obviously because you're on the other side and you walk along it, which we'll see. Mm-hmm. But it's different side, and you'll see especially as early in the morning as we were, there was really, really nice low lying fog, and it looks really cool. The marshes on the other side of the freeway had all the fog and everything.
Right.
So a little nicer. You're up a little higher, just nicer views.
And I've rarely see people on this side of the trail. Occasionally I do, not nearly what I would see on the other side. So you can see these houses up on the ridge. We're going to be kind of behind those people as we hike along for most of the beginning of our hike. So now you can definitely hear the freeway on your left, because that's the lanes of I-15 and the commuter lane in the center there. So you're definitely going to hear that. Even on a weekend, you're going to hear that road traffic really carries up. But we're going to get past that at some point.
Yeah, and like I said, that fog was kind of
that was kind of
looked nice.
That was kind of a bonus one. So at some point in just a moment here, we're going to squirt through a hole in the fence. Now, most of this is a City of Escondido sewer access road. So interpret that how you want. It's a road that is used for city utilities to access this. Is it technically? It's technically not part. This is not part of the San Diego River Park yet. We're about to jump into that. And actually, this section of trail that we're on right now, if you roll down that hill, you would roll down into I-15. So this is actually a freeway slope. So maybe I'll add a warning on this one. Yeah, technically we're on freeway property right here. However, I am going to tell you that this access path, this access trail has been used for 30, maybe 40 years. So it's real, right? It's not just something that I jumped over a fence yesterday. Oh, now
through a fence.
Thank you. Now you can right by those eucalyptus trees on the other side of the freeway, you can almost see the other route, that purple route that you were referring to, right? Now it would be parallel to the freeway. It hasn't ducked under yet.
No, correct. It's below. It's a little bit below the freeway because it's right. So the noise isn't actually terrible because you're so far below it and kind of next to it. It's actually, in some ways, it's almost quieter. Mm-hmm. But again, there's nothing there. It's not much.
Nice. So, okay, cool. So we're going to continue along, and we're going to squirt back through another hole in the fence. And now we are in San Diego River Park. So there's more of that sewer access road. That road is one of the connectors down to that path that would connect up, or the lower road. But we're going to stay on this upper road. So this is going to be relatively level for the next 20 minutes. And we'll kind of be
for sure. Yeah, it's pretty much. Yeah, and it's interesting because I think you mentioned it's really, like I said, it's an urban trail, but we're busy talking and chatting, going through whatever. You don't really know. You're just enjoying being out on this trail at this point on the way out.
Right,
and that, of course, in the right in front of us is Bernardo Mountain.
Perfect.
So that's where.
And then Lake Hodges off kind of left there of that bush. So that's Lake Hodges itself. So, and then I want to, we can't see San Elijo Hills yet. Well, that'll be coming around the corner. So we got Bernardo Mountain. That's our target. We're going to come around the north side, which will be to the right. And we'll kind of come around that way. Okay. So as we wind around, we're going to leave the sewer access road and drop down in the creek. And if you're on a mountain bike, it gets tricky. This is actually one of the first places I used to ride way back when. So we're gonna drop into a little bit of oak and a little bit more larger plant material. And this is one of the few places on this trail where you'll see poison oak. So there's some right there, and after we cross the cute little bridge, there'll be some more right and left of us.
Yeah, so there's all those other trails. Pretty much every trail that you eventually have to cross this creek. They cross at different points, of course. And I think the main access one that's closest to the lake for anybody who's been on that, it's a much bigger bridge. If that little bridge makes you nervous, then you have other options.
Yep. So we're going to climb back up, leaving the creek. It gets a little rocky, but nothing horrible. And then we're going to be joining the junction of the official Bernardo Mountain Trail. So if we were to hang left, that would drop down to Lake Hodges, but we're going to go up. Yeah. So this is the point that Kelly mentioned where we're going to start. We're still not going to climb that much yet.
Even here, though, yeah, it's funny because even this, like you basically circle. You almost do a semicircle around the whole mountain, and even then you're barely climbing. You're just getting tighter and tighter and tighter into the mountain, but you're not really climbing. It's almost like it's delayed torture.
Yes, I'm going to say this next section is just kind of rolly, right? We're kind of making our way through the chaparral. Yeah. The views are getting a little tighter because the plant material's growing up, but then like right here it drops, and then we pop right back up to the same elevation. So. Nothing too dramatic. Again, if you're a mountain bike, this could be kind of interesting because it gets narrow and a little tricky. But for hiking, it's still interesting for hiking. Like this would be a nice tight turn.
And if you're hiking and there's mountain bikers out, which there were, it's also tricky because they come flying around the corner, and then
right. And then it gets really interesting.
So, yeah, we saw a few bikers.
We did not. That wasn't until the way back that we saw the bikers. I don't think we saw any on the way in.
So we were pretty early. I don't think we saw anybody.
True. Yeah. So we're just about to join a road, and what's kind of interesting, let's see, it's almost there. So this is going to be parallel. You can almost see the road cut off to the right. So the trail is actually parallel to a road. I don't know when this use trail was created, but in just a moment, it's going to pop back down into the proper road bed. And this has definitely grown over much over the years. And here's our official sign. So we'll stop to take a look at it. And hey, whoa, Kelly, slow down. Where are you going? Come back. So this is the official sign for the Bernardo Mountain Trail.
I'll stop here.
You did stop. I made you come back. This is, I don't know if this is the halfway point, but this is, if you want to break, this is actually not a bad place to take a short break because now we're about to do the climbing to get up to the summit. So now we're going to probably do, 800-900 feet of climbing at this point. Okay. Ready to climb? Yep. We're start doing some switchback. Now we're getting some elevation, some views. And then a little bit more rocky stuff, right? So there's some exposed bedrock, nothing too bad, but interesting, get into some interesting terrain. Now, when you see this fence on your right, the one thing that I wanted to mention about this section is this is some really serious clay. So after a rain, this will be slick and it can be hard to get up. So be aware that you want to give this a little bit of time to dry off. And we've seen a couple puddles, and I don't remember when it last rained before we hiked. Do you recall? Was it a week, a couple of days? I don't remember.
It was about a week. Yeah.
No, it's about a week. Okay.
Yeah, it wasn't. Yeah. It was just enough where it's even a week later, it had a little bit of that slickness to it, which is that stuff does not drain well at all.
So this is the Rincon del Diablo water tank. So it's for one of the water district's water tanks. And then again, now off to the kind of the left side of the frame, that's the San Elijo Hills. And off to the right, far right, is probably the Palomar Range. So if it weren't for the chain link, it would be a decent view. But we'll get past the chain link soon enough. Oh, one of the things that always is entertaining is there's signs on this fence. It says something about vandalizing and damaging property. Well, what happens is people like to throw rocks over the fence and see if they can hit the top of the water tank. So they have to clean off the water tank from rocks and such on a regular basis. So please don't throw rocks at their water tank.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah, this is not that there's a house. This is one of my favorite spots because there's a couple houses down below, and there's this one bungalow, that's huge, big bungalow that was probably very proud of themselves. They built like they were going to be there forever, and then not long after, another road came right behind them, and there's this like 3-story house that's right up above it. It's like somebody thought they were moving into the wilderness, and unfortunately, civilization caught up with them. So that's kind of what you have here. All these houses around here, but it's nice that this trail and this little mountain is kind of. It's always nice having these little urban parks. Like they're not, like you said at the beginning, it's not like you're in the back country, but they're nice to have.
Absolutely. And certainly for habitat, right? There's, a lot of wildlife that either lives in here or uses this as a corridor to get through. And I think that's one of the cool goals about the SDRP is it's a corridor park that allows wildlife to move around. Now, I think did you mention, Kelly, that is this particular, there's some mud. Is this particular trail, this is in the San Diego River Park. Is this on one of their, this spur is not on the Costa Crest Trail per se, is it?
Well, not per se, no. The Costa Crest is, so that the trail that I was talking about that goes right next to the lake continues on, like you said, all the way to the dam, and it continues past that. That's the actual Costa Crest Trail. When we did that 5 hikes in one day marathon a couple of years back, the first time we did it, they have that challenge, right? The SDRP does a challenge every year where they give you a year to hike these 5 hikes and get your name in their newsletter, which is fine. But of course, we decided to do all 5 of them. We being Sandra and Rich and you and I think Mike one year joined us. We did all 5 of them in one day. So all 5 of them together works out to about 26 miles. And the first year, this was one of the 5. In fact, I remember this was the third one of 5. And this was after we'd done Vulcan Mountain and Clevenger South. So, and we got here in the middle of the day. It was much fun at noon or 1 o'clock in the afternoon after doing those other first 2 hikes. Fortunately, the last 2 hikes that day were very, very easy. So,
well, I think after this one, after this hike, we ended up in the park and we took a lunch break and felt like absolute hiker trash. That was where we had, with the iced orange slices and just laying out on the grass. Good times.
But yeah, so they I mean, it's kind of on one of their hikes that they use to help promote the overall Costa Crest Trail.
We're getting close. The last little steep section, or it's steep enough. Yeah. I see some people.
It's like, it's all kind of like, especially that area going around the water tank. That's the worst section as far as steep.
True.
I mean, none of it's like, none of it's Sierras necessarily, but it's, this whole thing is steep. Like I said, you get up to the top here and you've done that last little, probably 3/4 of miles. So,
right.
And of course now it's like getting away from people because that's still the world we live in.
Yeah.
Finding a spot that no one else is sitting in. So
we got I-15 in Lake Hodges down there. And
that's good.
I got a decent view there. And I realized I didn't get a good enough view. So I've got a still image that kind of shows what's going on here. So there's the San Elijo Hills and Lake Hodges in the distance. So, and you can kind of see where we came from. So you could come in from this portion of Lake Hodges over here. There's the boat launch is tucked in. Oh, that's probably by that one house. That's the asphalt parking lot. You can actually drive to that and hike in. So that would be, still have to come around the way we came. So that would definitely add some distance if you wanted a longer hike. You'll run into more mountain bikers and more runners. So just be aware of that. Okay, so let's see what we had on the view. So took a peak finder shot, and I have been up here and seen snow on Cuyamaca and Middle Peak before, which is really kind of cool. So in the Cuyamaca range. And then unfortunately,
interesting. It's pretty. Yeah, you don't realize how much that you're looking that far south.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, I always think Cuyamaca is way farther south than what you see from where you are here, but that just kind of shows the perspective.
Right.
How this stuff all relates to each other.
And that little shutter icon is hiding Mount Woodson with all the antennas that are on there. So that's always a great landmark as well. The antennas on Woodson. And then we've got the freeway running through there, and then the mall. And then my house is slightly on the left next to the second palm tree. I can't quite see my house here, but yeah, definitely some nice views up on the top.
Black Mountain. Yeah, I live in Rancho Penasquitos, and I've got like right next to Black Mountain, our Black Mountain.
I was going to say that's a different Black Mountain.
Well, I know, and every now and then I'll see something on like one of the hiking group things about Black Mountain, and it's like, and half the time it's the one mine, and then but you can tell if it's small kids, it's usually mine. If it's somebody else who's got the 3,982 sign, it's definitely this one. I have not been on the top of that other Black Mountain yet, so I guess that's a goal.
Well, somewhere over in San Marcos is Mount Woodson. No, excuse me, Mount Whitney. A different Mount Whitney. Yeah. Okay, so I think we're done with the top. So then of course now it's zoomed down, right? So this part through the chaparral, we're still doing good. I think somewhere in here we ran into a bikers, and this is definitely narrow. There's our biker. It's narrow, so we got to dodge people. Still feels like we're going downhill. It's all so far so good.
Sped up video.
I know.
Happy feet.
I wish I could always walk this fast. But I'm never quite sure how much to show on out and backs. You know, like you get the idea that we're going back the exact same way we came.
Yeah, this is definitely an out and back. Not a loop involved.
Yeah. So now we've seen more people. It's later, but this is the part of the trail that I don't particularly like. It's that flat sewer easement road that we were yakking on the way in. We weren't paying attention. And it's like, yeah, this is not the most exciting portion of it. It's a little bit more exposed, but fortunately you come back to the road pretty quick. And, right on that gas station on the corner, you can get a cold drink there if if it's hot in the summer, or make your way back across the road to where you're parked. So,
I think it's a good hut. Like it's kind of a local. I know you've done the Fry Kugel, which has a lot more green, but like comparing this to say going up even the Whitson Trail from Poway Lake or some of those, like it's a local trail. Or going up the Way Up Trail in Elfin Forest. There's all these ones that are they're similar. None of them are going to make the top 50 beautiful hikes in the country or anything, but they're all good, nice to get out, not ridiculously busy, and get some exercise. And this was definitely one of them.
Yeah, that's good. So a couple comments from folks. Let's see. Well, Dave wanted to know what you were drinking because he came in late. Dave's having Glenfiddich. Wow.
See, I didn't go for the malt. Sorry, I went to the beer. I went to an Omegang AleSmith combo beer.
So a good comment from Dave, and I kind of like this one, is that maybe add the CalTopo profile, the elevation profile in there, which I think would be kind of nice. That would really illustrate. It's going to be in this hike, it's relatively flat coming in, and then the end is the elevation gain. But also, especially if we're only talking about total elevation, well, can be deceiving at times, right? Because if you have 1,000 foot of elevation overall gain, but there's this in between A and B, it might be 1,500 feet, 1,700 feet of elevation net, not just the delta.
Doug had a couple points that he put in the Q&A, and he like he said, this is a good, couple of things. One is, again, the downhill. If it's muddy, which we talked about, if it's muddy, it's pretty dangerous. But he had a good point saying, especially in the summer when your days are later, it's probably a pretty safe and easy trail to do at night, or at least get pretty good, because really nice light views. You might not have as many people, and I haven't done that myself, but I mean, once you get down, there's a lot of pretty flat, easy night areas. So yeah, this is probably a good one for that. Actually, I've got the night. I mean, you'd have lights everywhere. It'd be pretty nice.
I'd agree. It would be a pretty good night hike. I've done that a couple of different ways. I've done that. I haven't done the whole hike as a morning hike. Sometimes I'm limited on my morning time, but I have done that in the summer. I'll get out first thing. I'll go up about as far as the water tank, touch the fence, and then hoof it back, and I can do that relatively quick. I've gone extra early in the summer again because it's close to me, and then I've done it late in the summer and left the summit at sunset, which is kind of cool too. So I maybe the takeaway from this one is this is one of my local trails here in Escondido. This is something that I can be out the door and 5 minutes down the road, I can be walking on this trail. So I'd be curious to hear, what your trail is, what everybody else, hopefully people have a trail like this that they can get to. And actually it's really fortunate that each of us have trails near us that are like this, right? That we can get to relatively quickly and be on. For me, it's all about being on dirt. So cool.
Well, yeah, it ends up being one of the, and there's so many in that area. Like you said, there's the Elfin Forest ones. There's a few in that. Escondido is really good for having those local trails, all the stuff at Daly Ranch. You guys are lucky up there. We have, where I live though, I can step down into Penasquitas Canyon and pretty much get in that canyon for, it's not height elevation, but it's at least it's some green and a little bit of water. So it's nice.
Yeah.
Nice to have those trails. I don't have owls right around the corner like the grows do.
Right. Yeah, true. Okay. Well, Kelly, thanks for coming on the hike with me and thanks for joining us tonight to share about this. So I will have the Caltopo map in YouTube. I'll put a link to the Google Doc. So I'll have a Google Doc PDF that I'll share that you can grab if you want to have information about it. I'll have that up tonight or tomorrow. That'll be ready for you. And then next week, we're talking about food. So Doug Grover's going to join me, and we're going to talk about food, but group food, which is different. It's not something I'm not real used to, right? It's like, how do you deal with food on a larger trip? Yeah. Well, it sounds like with Doug's group, you eat really well, huh?
You do indeed. Yes.
It's not a trip. Do you lose weight on Doug's trips? Or do you gain weight?
I did not lose weight on Doug's trips. Yeah, no.
Awesome.
Try, but no such plan.
Okay. So that's what we'll be back with next week. So hope you can join us then. And if, as always, you can look at our previous shows on YouTube. So thanks, Kelly, for joining us. Thanks, everybody else, for watching tonight. We will see you next time.
Thanks, everyone.
Happy trails.